Insulin sensitive is the opposite of being insulin resistant. When you're insulin sensitive, the cells in your body are accepting glucose or blood sugar as they should. Your blood sugar levels remain normal and your insulin levels as well. However, when you're insulin resistant, your cells are not taking in glucose properly. This means your insulin levels remain higher for longer than they should, and eventually your blood sugar levels will creep up as well. If you have abdominal fat, high blood pressure, skin tags, or difficulty losing weight, these are all signs of insulin resistance. And the steps we're going to outline in this video can help you to improve your insulin sensitivity and effectively reverse insulin resistance. The first thing you can do is prioritize protein. I cannot stress enough how important protein is. One of the reasons this tip is beneficial for insulin resistance is the role it plays in satiety. The protein leverage hypothesis states we will eat until our protein needs are met. So even if you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of fat, a lot of both, if you're not meeting your protein requirement, you're still going to be hungry. And we see this, for example, when we've finished a meal, we should be full, but we're able to still pick at the French fries or order dessert. This could be because we didn't eat enough protein. When we eat enough protein at our meals, we're less hungry throughout the day. And this helps with insulin resistance because when we eat less frequently, our insulin levels are able to come down to baseline in between meals. And this is when we see our insulin sensitivity improve, when our insulin levels are low. On the flip side, if we're constantly eating and snacking throughout the day, then our insulin is always going to be high. So keeping it low as often as we can is key. And eating enough protein at every meal can really help with this. I generally recommend a bare minimum of 30 grams of quality protein at every meal. And there are other reasons for why protein helps with insulin resistance. I actually did a video a couple weeks ago about top foods that are rich in protein that can help you to reverse insulin resistance. I will link that above and you can watch it after. The second step is to be smart about carbohydrates. Insulin resistance is caused from insulin levels remaining high for long periods of time. And it's this high level of insulin that leads to a lot of the associated side effects and the diseases that can come from it. So as I said before, anything you can do to keep your insulin low and reduce your need for insulin is going to help. Now, when it comes to the foods we eat, foods rich in carbohydrates require the most insulin to process. Protein and fat require much less, if any at all. So reducing carbohydrates in your diet can be a very effective strategy. Generally, a low-carb diet is considered to be eating less than 100 grams of carbs per day, and eating a ketogenic diet is considered to be less than 50 grams per day. Both of these approaches can work, but there are other strategies you can use to make carbohydrates more insulin-friendly if you aren't quite ready to reduce them that much. And even if you are, you can use these strategies. One of these methods is to eat any starchy carbohydrates in your meal at the end of your meal after you've had your protein, fat, and fiber. Doing this slows down the digestion of the carbohydrates, which means less of a blood sugar spike and less insulin is needed all at once, which we've already talked about is what we should be aiming for. If you want to know some more strategies on how to make carbohydrates more blood sugar and insulin friendly, I'm going to link another video up above. Number 3, take a walk. When you eat a meal, especially one that contains a significant amount of carbohydrates, your blood sugar is going to rise. It's insulin's job to take the excess sugar from our bloodstream to the cells in our body so they can use it for energy. However, when we're insulin resistant, our cells are rejecting the actions of insulin and they're not taking in the glucose as they should. Now, when we go for a walk after eating, this allows our bodies to use the energy from those carbohydrates immediately. And it allows our bodies to do this without the need for insulin. When we go for a walk after eating, we see less of a blood sugar spike and less of an insulin spike, which again is a good thing. And this doesn't have to be a long walk, just a quick 10-minute walk around the block can make a big difference. Number 4, resistance training. Building muscle is another way to help to reverse insulin resistance. As I mentioned a few times during this video, when we're insulin resistant, our cells have difficulty taking in glucose. But when we have more muscle, we have more room to store glucose. And our muscles are where most of the glucose in our body is stored. So if we have more muscles, we have more room to store glucose. Number 5, get enough quality sleep. Studies have shown that when we get a poor night's sleep, we become more insulin resistant the following day. Even for someone who is metabolically healthy, they can become temporarily insulin resistant. And this happens after just one night of poor sleep. So imagine what happens when we don't get good sleep on a consistent basis. Number 6, skip a meal. Intermittent fasting is a way of eating where you cycle between periods of fasting and eating. Generally, with intermittent fasting, it's structured as you have a set amount of time where you're eating every day and a set amount of time where you're fasting. For example, the 16-8 method means that you're fasting for 16 hours a day and eating all of your calories within an 8-hour window. For example, if you stop eating at 6 p.m. in the evening, you're not going to eat again until 10 a.m. the following day. And this tip is pretty straightforward in terms of why it works. If you're not eating, there is no need for insulin. And this is why fasting is such an effective method for reversing insulin resistance and improving insulin sensitivity. It really supercharges your cells' sensitivity to insulin. And this doesn't have to be extreme. I mentioned the 16-8 method, which I think is pretty approachable for most people. Just don't eat late in the evenings, push your first meal back a couple of hours. But even if you can fast for just 12 hours a day, so stop eating at 8 p.m., start eating again at 8 a.m., that can make a big difference as well. And it's all about what you can stick to. Longer is not always better. It's about consistency. And number 7, take the right supplements. Now, diet and lifestyle are absolutely number 1 when it comes to reversing insulin resistance, but there are certain supplements and nutrients that can help to accelerate your results. Berberine and inositol are 2 natural supplements that have been shown to do just that. They improve your cell's ability to take in glucose, and they help with insulin resistance through a few other mechanisms as well. Berberine, for example, if you take it before meals, and especially meals that are a little bit higher in carbohydrates, you're gonna see less of a blood sugar and insulin spike than if you didn't take it. Berberine has actually been compared to the prescription drug metformin because of how effective it is for helping to improve insulin resistance. Now, if you're looking for a berberine or an inositol, I really like the ones from So Well Health. They have a blend that includes berberine and a blend that includes inositol, along with a few other nutrients that can help as well. I'm gonna put the link to both in the description box down below, and I do have a code for 10% off, that's Kait10, so if you want a little bit more of a savings, click the link below and use that code. But again, diet and lifestyle are essential. You can't just take these supplements and expect to see results without making any other changes. And if you have tried berberine or inositol, I want to hear what you thought and if you experienced any significant changes. Let me know in the comments down below. Now, before I wrap up, I'm going to thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. It's thanks to companies like Squarespace partnering with me that I am able to put out as much free content as I do. So if you're looking for a website or a platform for your mailing list, for your online courses, that's a new feature they have, for a blog, anything like that, listen up. Squarespace's award-winning customizable templates will give your website a polished and professional look, while also being highly customizable. You have complete control over colors, fonts, sizing, photos, and more. Their templates are beautiful and professional. And it is so easy to customize even without any experience in web design whatsoever. Now, I built my website on Squarespace and I've been running it there ever since I first launched my health coaching business. They have literally everything you can need. If you need an online shop, if you need to send out emails, they have you covered. And there are so many more other features as well. If you want to check them out, you can head to squarespace.com/healthcoachkait and use code healthcoachkait to save 10% off your first order. You can start your free trial without having to enter your credit card details or anything. So give it a try and let me know what you think. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.